Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Football section, or FFS for short. I am Tom Webster and it's game week 12. We're up to 88 participants now in the Red All Over League, but remember it is never too late to join and I'd still like us to get up to 100. I will put the link in the description and the comments down below. You can also follow me on Twitter at FFSTom, RAO, where I give out more tips and reminders each week for you to change your team. If you want a weekly reminder, remember to comment your name, Twitter handle in the comments down below, and I will add you to my list. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Basically, on Monday, I will be having a small operation, and basically, I don't think I will be able to record in the ward. I don't think the Wi-Fi will be very good, and I'm pretty sure the doctors won't be very happy about that. So next week I will be missing. However, I will update things on Twitter, so make sure you are following me. And I may even set up a Facebook page if I get time. But basically, I won't be doing a show next week. But now it is time for a quick butchers at game week 11. And as always, we start with the top six. Blackpool's Tangerine Army still is at number one this week. He has 762 points and he's still in front of EFL Fantasy Josh, who stays in second. He's on 750 points. His wife, Waymaker, he moves back up to third on 725. Captain Phillips moves up as well, up to fourth. He's on 721 points. And Sam with Tykes FC was another regular commenter. He's not commented in a couple of weeks, so make sure you get in there, mate. He's on 716 points. So just let us know what's been going wrong because you've been dropping down that table. You was first at one point. And finally, last but by no means least, we have a new entry and it is FPL Tom in sixth place. He's got 707 points. He also creates content. So FPL Tom from FFS Tom, please like, subscribe, share, comment. You know what to do to help a brother out, and it would be much appreciated. But now it is time for those awards, and this time we start as always with the top team. This week it is Cambridge United. They won both of their games, 2-0 for the first off at home against Wigan. And the second one was 2-0 against Stevenage away from home, picking up a lovely 20 points there. And now it's time for the Banter Team. And this week's Banter Team is Plymouth. They got beat 5-0 against Cardiff. I think they had a man sent. In fact, yes, they did have a man sent off. And Cardiff up until now were pretty woeful in all honesty. And Plymouth also lost against Millwall 1-0. So that's 6 goals conceded with nothing as much of a reply. So sorry guys, but you are the Banter Team this week. Now moving on to our star man. This week it is Richard Kone. He scored a big 25 points, 23 of which came in the first game. In fact, they came in 23 points in 23 minutes against Peterborough. And the other two came up against Burton. So he got 25 points this week. Now, you know, if there's a star man, there is a pants pick, and it's Ibrahim Sissoko, who was the man who got sent off against Cardiff for Plymouth, and he scored -2. He was the worst player you could have picked this week. He was pants. But now it is time for the People's Champion, and this week we have Tarn FC. Now, for those that don't know, if you're not from Barnsley, Tarn just means town. And for those American listeners, I'm wearing this lovely Americanized shirt. That's what Tarn means. And he picked up 130 points. It's a good team picks gave him 27 points of them. Arthur Okonkwo, I probably butchered his name, and I'm really sorry, pal. He was in goal, and he scored 20 points, and he captained Josh Brownhill, that gave him basically the most valuable player at 26 points. But now moving on to the part you've all been waiting for, and that is the Participation Award. The well done for trying. And this week it goes to Yorkshire Puddings. With just 43 points from 2 games, that is pretty dreadful, pal. So I will let you have a right of reply and tell me how it's not your fault, but yeah, get them in the comments and let me know why you've only scored 43 points from 2 games. But now moving on to this week's Ultimate Team. And this week's Ultimate Team's formation is a 2-3-1. And with this combination of players, you would have scored maximum points. Starting in goal, we have Arthur Okonkwo of Wrexham scoring 20 points. The two at the back are Crewe's Ryan Crune with 24 and Cardiff City's Demetrios Gutas with 22. In midfield, we have a combination of Lewis Wing of Reading with 25, Robin Colwell from Cardiff with 23, and Cheltenham Town's Jordan Thomas with 22. And finally, up top, we have Richard Kone of Wycombe Wanderers scoring 25 points. 2 teams you should have picked this week were Cambridge, who got 20, and either Birmingham or Cardiff. Basically, I went for Cardiff, hoping that it would trigger quite a lot of Birmingham fans into commenting on this video. In fact, if you do know any Birmingham fans, just get them tagged. And I will put a timestamp in the comments down below so they can look at this little bit and get really, really mad. Basically, they've just bought the league. And you also could have had Randall Williams in midfield from Bolton. He also scored 22 points. And if you had the star man captained, which was Coney or Lewis Wing, both scoring 25 points, it would have doubled their points. And you would have a combined maximum total of 244 points. If you had any of the players I've mentioned in your team or picked any of the top teams, congratulations, you have done fantastic this week. Now we look ahead to game week 12, and this week we have a little sneaky double header. Not everyone's playing 2 games, but there are 8 teams playing twice this week. There's Lincoln, Northampton, Bolton, Fleetwood, Salford, Stevenage, Stockport, and finally Reading. And they are who I'm going to suggest as my club to pick this week. They first face Bristol at home, and then they travel to Stockport. Although basket case off the pitch at the moment, Reading are in decent form recently, and I feel they will have far too much for Bristol. And with Stockport not winning for a few games now, I feel they could pick up some valuable points for you this week. And I think with the limited amount of double games, I think they're the club to pick. One to avoid this week for me has to be Birmingham. So again, triggering Birmingham fans here. I'll put another timestamp in. And I know what you're thinking, they're winning everything, but they cannot win every single game. And it's not over already. And I think it's a tricky trip to Mansfield for them this week. And I could see it, I think you should save that Birmingham for a more strategic week. So as you can only pick them 5 times in a season. So the one I would avoid this week, Birmingham. And now it's everybody's favourite bit of the show. It is transfer Tinder time. And I've got to start by stating the obvious here. Pick players that are going to be playing twice, guys and girls. Basically pick players that are going to be in them double game week. This week's player, I'm going to start by suggesting Murphy Mahoney in goal for Stevenage. He's picked up consistent points this season, had a great week last week, and with 2 games, I feel it's a no-brainer. So I am swiping right on him. Next up for me is Mickey Demetrio of Crew. Defender picked up an injury at the weekend and did not feature on Tuesday night at all. He didn't even make the bench. And I feel it's just a little bit risky at this moment in time, even though the manager said he may be available for the weekend. I just don't think it's worth taking that risk on him. So I am swiping left this week. Now, I'd like to point out a player that has been mostly overlooked, and that is Kelly and May. A good points tally last week for Salford, and with him playing 2 games again this week, I think he could be a good time to pop him in your side. So I am swiping right on him. And finally, we move on to, oh, it's not finally actually. Sorry. We move on to West Brom's Josh Maja. A phenomenal first week, and a couple of weeks after that, he did okay. But after that, he's had very poor numbers, and that's really been his first few weeks has been masking his poor numbers recently. So I am dropping him out of my side, and there is 17.4% of people have him in their side. So honestly, guys, I think he needs dropping. I just cannot justify him being in my side anymore. So I am swiping left on him. So that pretty much guarantees he will bag a hat trick against Blackburn. And finally, I will say Josh Earl. He picked up his 5th yellow card of the season, which means he won't be available this weekend. You may have missed that as it's not a direct red. So swipe left on him. However, I will say this: if you are mad enough to have any of our defenders in your team in any normal week, you need your head seen, if I'm honest with you. It's not been great lately for our defenders. And if you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, and have notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of our content. Most of it is fantastic. I know this is pretty rubbish. I'm just joking. But thank you very much for watching.